traditions, memories, culture, language, place,
Text, changing climate, changing culture.
climate change. What does it bring to mind?
Polar bears on ice.
Visions of polar bears, glaciers exiting a national park named for them, complex scientific statistics?
Carbon graph.
We don't have to look far. The evidence of a changing climate is all around us. Climate change is affecting the sustainability of the natural resources our cultures and economies depend on. But how do we make the issue of climate change come alive so people are engaged to do something about it?
Panel discussion. Drilling into a tree to collect sap. Text, local, place-based evidence of climate change gained through experiential learning as are more effective than simply studying analytical climate change data to increasing climate change literacy.
It's all about place. The key is interpreting climate change within a cultural context we value, using evidence we can experience.
Tap tree does not yield any sap.
Kikinu Wijiwe Onjiwaban means guiding for tomorrow in the language of the Lake Superior Ojibwe people. This name was given to describe a unique approach to increasing climate change awareness and response.
Forest work group.
We call it GWOW.
Letters form acronym.
This video demonstrates how to apply the GWOW model. We'll cover the steps in developing a climate change professional development institute using it.
Sitting on the shore in a semicircle.
Your creativity will be the art that makes climate change training unique to the audiences and communities you serve.
Skills training sessions taught by a park ranger. Text, the GWOW website provides supporting resources and curriculum. www.g-wow.org.
So, there's all the graphs and the numbers and the charts and all that stuff, and it doesn't really connect with people. So when you can give an example of a culture that is impacted or our life ways that are impacted, it can really give everyone else another way to see the impact.
All of us engage in cultural practices we value, including recreational,
Rowing a boat.
cultural,
Hiking on a trail.
leisure,
Timbolo trail.
and economic pursuits.
Logs on a truck.
Many of these activities depend on the sustainability of a species or specific habitat conditions.
Fish in a hand underwater.
The GWOW model integrates place-based evidence we can observe in how a cultural practice is changing with scientific evidence of how climate change is affecting the species and habitats that support it. Fly fishing relies on the sustainability of brook trout. Brook trout require habitats with cold, oxygen-rich water. Wisconsin fly fishing anglers are noticing trout streams are warmer with lower water levels and fewer brookies. Climate science projects Wisconsin's annual temperatures will warm 4 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit by mid-century. This would affect cold water stream habitats needed by brook trout. Do anglers' observations agree with science that climate change is affecting brook trout? What is the future for fly fishing or businesses that support it? By increasing awareness of how climate change affects activities we value, we are more likely to reduce these impacts. In their language and cultural practices, Indigenous people have environmental knowledge passed down through generations. Traditional or tribal ecological knowledge can provide a baseline for evaluating climate change. Let's apply the GWOW model to the Ojibwe cultural practice of wild rice harvesting. Wild rice, or monoman, is considered sacred for food and ceremony. Wild rice harvesting depends on the sustainability of wild rice, an aquatic grass that requires cool, shallow water habitats with moderate water level fluctuations. But things are changing. Traditional knowledge keepers are noticing unusual disruptions. Drought, flooding, and disease are affecting the wild rice harvests. Climate scientists think that temperatures will warm, and that will stress the wild rice. They predict more heavy storms and flooding. that can drown plants or wash them away. Do culture and science agree that climate change is affecting wild rice? What's the future for the Ojibwe cultural practice of wild rice harvesting? We can apply the GWOW model in all cultures and locations. Be creative and plug in cultural and economic practices that resonate with what people value in the cultures and communities you work with. Not all cultural practices will be climate change losers. Some may be enhanced if the species or habitat conditions supporting it are favored by climate change. Once we've raised awareness, the big so what of the GWOW model is taking action on climate change.
Text. What can we do? The GWOW website demonstrates how to apply the GWOW model for culturally relevant climate outreach and action. www.gwow.org.
Plan your institute backwards. What outcomes do you want to achieve? This will guide planning and offer a yardstick for evaluating success. Perhaps the outcome is creating a network of educators trained in leading climate service learning. The goal becomes building their climate literacy and outreach skills.
Presentation.
The strategy is using the GWOW model to accomplish it. Planning an institute should begin a year before the start date, especially for multiple-day training programs.
Calendars.
Create a project timeline with deadlines for accomplishing important tasks, including marketing, application and enrollment, logistics, evaluation, and follow-up. The GWOW model is used to organize learning experiences by starting with cultural perspectives of climate change, then integrating place-based and scientific evidence of its impact. This leads to developing strategies and taking action.
Daily agenda.
A daily hour-by-hour Institute agenda provides a visual planning tool for organizing the flow of specific learning experiences. This agenda will be refined as topic sessions, presenters, and logistics are confirmed.
GWOW, with its collaborative and relevant approach, they're using both place-based education and multiple ways of knowing. Their approach is helping teachers learn how to teach about climate change. Not only are we finding that it's transferable across different cultures, but also that they're able to complete service learning projects, which is showing that we can, through research, have more active citizens within our communities. And that is what we need to create a more sustainable future for this and future generations.
We'll use the Hear the Water Speak Institute to demonstrate how to create a climate change training program based on the GWOW model. Some planning involves specific steps that we'll cover in this video. Others are more intangible, like developing synergy between project partners and participants to address climate change.
People gather for a photo.
The GWOW Institute is really valuable in that we have an opportunity to bring in subject matter experts, scientists, traditional elders, and others who know how a place has changed over time and how it's impacted now. And we bring them together with national park staff and university staff and, of course, all the participants. And so it's this really interesting meeting of the minds from people with very different backgrounds.
Successful institutes are built on partnerships. Indigenous communities or other communities of culture can offer guidance in how to respectfully weave traditional knowledge into an institute. Local partners can provide opportunities for culturally relevant, place-based climate change investigations.
A ranger leads a tour. Text, funding and budget.
It takes funding to run an institute and time to plan and administer it.
Presentation.
An institute budget is essential for estimating and tracking expenses such as food, transportation, supplies, and honoraria.
Acknowledgements.
Funding from external sources like grants or registration fees can reduce costs. Incentives like stipends, scholarships, and continuing education credits can encourage participation, but add to expenses.
Audience.
The outcome you want to achieve will determine the target audience. Knowing your audience affects scheduling, marketing, and logistical decisions. You should sync your institute scheduling with the needs of your audience. the availability of presenters, and opportunities for field experiences. The length of training depends on their capacity to attend single or multiple day programs. For example, targeting participation by classroom teachers requires scheduling during weekends or summer months.
Planning calendars.
We've found that 4 days of training during the summer is optimum for our GWOW Institute educator audiences. You should limit enrollment numbers so learners have a quality experience, yet encourage synergy.
Marketing.
There is a lot of competition for professional development time. If you want participation in your institute, pay attention to marketing it to the target audience. Develop an institute marketing plan and implement it at least 3 months before the start date. Demonstrate how the institute meets the target audience's interests while eliminating any barriers that might prevent attendance. Marketing should include these unique selling points.
An outdoor presentation.
Product. How will training benefit the target audience, capture their interest, or satisfy a need?
A tree forest.
Price. How much will it cost in time and money? And how will the skills gained or financial incentives offered offset those costs? Place. How will the Institute's location affect cost, convenience, and safety, or build interest in attending? Promotion. What advertising tools will be more effective in getting the word out about your institute and getting your target audiences to attend?
A logo on a flyer.
Brand all materials and marketing with an Institute logo and consistent visual cues that create an Institute identity.
The logo is round.
Design promotional materials so they can be used for a variety of outreach. This Institute flyer is a low-cost advertising tool that can serve as a hard copy handout, poster, or in online marketing. The logo brands this as a GWOW Institute.
A title in the header.
Hear the Water Speak is a provocative title that piques curiosity.
Photo of woman on boat.
Compelling images convey that indigenous perspectives will be featured.
Text underneath.
The text is minimal, providing basic who, what, when, where, why facts.
Logos on bottom.
Project partner logos acknowledge their contributions and signal the Institute's credibility and quality. There are a variety of options for getting more information, including a QR code that directly links to the Institute website for more information. The website is the source for detailed information, application materials, and resources.
An interactive logo.
All marketing materials should point users to the website. As part of the marketing plan, remember to capture high-quality images and video footage during your institute. Listen for pithy quotes from participants. These provide powerful marketing messages. Marketing continues after an institute through media releases that share its success and build support for the next one. If marketing promotes participation, having an effective institute application process secures a commitment to attend.
Writing notes.
Make it easy to apply. On the Institute website, offer an online fillable application form that can be returned electronically or downloaded and sent back by fax or mail. Use the form to gather an applicant's contact information and other details such as the audiences they serve or subjects they teach.
Sample form.
Use this information to fine-tune the Institute's learning experiences. Develop a system for accepting and prioritizing applications just in case demand exceeds enrollment limits. Setting an initial application deadline 6 to 8 weeks before the start date gives enough time to extend the deadline and do a last-minute promotional blast if enrollment is low.
Calendars.
Just be sure to leave enough time between the final application deadline and the start date to finalize Institute logistics. As each application is received, email an acknowledgement with a date when the applicant will be notified of their acceptance. After screening the applications, email a confirmation RSVP to those who are accepted. Create an email listserv for future group correspondence. Send respectful regrets and options to reapply in the future to those who are not accepted.
Email.
By returning the RSVP, an applicant confirms they will be a participant. The RSVP form can be used to collect information on special accommodations or dietary requirements. You should email an Institute welcome kit to each participant that includes a welcome letter giving important details, including the Institute's location, emergency contact numbers, meals and lodging options, opportunities for course credit, what to bring, and what to expect. An hour-by-hour agenda of Institute presentations and activities. Liability waivers and health forms that must be completed. Requiring that these are returned prior to the Institute can help prepare for any health or safety issues. Have blank copies available at the Institute for those who forgot.
Institute waiver.
Photo release consent gives permission to use image or audio recordings of participants. If a participant declines to sign, exclude them from photos or recordings.
Sample bios.
Presenter biographies add a personal touch. They introduce Institute presenters through a brief resume and photo. It's less than a month before your Institute starts. Use weekly group email blasts to keep enthusiasm high and provide Institute updates. Preparatory readings can help ensure that everyone arrives with a basic understanding of climate change. These can be included in the welcome kit or distributed in weekly email blasts. Finalize these logistics before the Institute. Provide public transportation whenever possible to reduce an Institute's carbon footprint. When traveling to remote field sites via public transportation, bring an additional vehicle for emergencies. Meals can be teaching tools. By integrating local or indigenous foods, you reinforce how climate affects culture, the environment, and economies. When you eat native harvested wild rice, you understand how climate change affects the Ojibwe people. People gather around food. Providing meals builds camaraderie and is often a necessity at remote field locations. Be sure to review health forms for any dietary needs that must be accommodated. In Indigenous communities, it's customary to offer an honorarium or a gift. Protocols can vary, so seek the advice of an Indigenous leader. Arrange for on-site accommodations or provide options for affordable lodging or camping near the Institute. Are there enough materials for the group? And is all equipment in working order? Materials used in Indigenous cultural practices may require special preparation. At least one staff member should have basic first aid, CPR training, or more advanced training depending on the field locations you're visiting. Be sure to have a first aid kit and safety gear specific to the activity being conducted. Have potable water and bring along a two-way radio or cell phone for emergency communication. Review participants' health forms to be prepared for any issues based on medical histories. Anticipate participant needs, especially in remote field locations. These might include bug repellent, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, handy wipes, extra drinking water, and snacks. Unexpected incidents can throw off even the best planned institute. 2 days before the Hear the Water Speak Institute, severe flooding washed out roads to many of the field trip sites. Storms caused power outages that disrupted presentations. Be prepared to keep participants safe. Plan for contingencies while adapting to conditions that reinforce how the climate is changing.
Maps.
The Hear the Water Speak Institute was conducted in the homeland of the Lake Superior Ojibwe and integrated Indigenous perspectives and traditional knowledge of the Ojibwe people.
Presentation.
An institute's first day introduces how to integrate place-based perspectives of climate change with climate science.
Lab bench.
An introductory activity sets a tone for respect and participation. The Mixing of Waters activity reinforced the Institute's focus on climate change and water It represented the coming together of this diverse group. This water would be used to paint a watershed wheel that reflected the group's feelings about climate and water and demonstrated how art can be used in climate change outreach.
Paintings.
Begin by investigating climate change through culture. It's about place and examining how cultural practices we value are changing as species and habitats are affected by climate change. Weave in awareness about how climate variables like temperature, precipitation, and storm events may change based on scientific evidence.
Wisconsin map.
Climate change maps are effective tools for building skill and confidence in applying climate science. Field investigations demonstrate how to evaluate local, place-based evidence of climate change.
Watercolor painting.
They are paired with activities reinforcing how climate change affects cultural practices.
Hiking on a trail.
This climate walk on Lake Superior's Stockton Island reveals place-based evidence of climate impacts on the environment and people.
Holding web.
It is paired with the Web of Life activity that reinforces connections between climate, culture, and the environment. Forests are important for culture, recreation, and economies. Scientific projections of how climate change may affect them are reinforced by marking trees in the Forest Winners and Losers activity to see which species may decline or thrive. Paper birch, a tree that's culturally significant to the Ojibwe, is also economically important for logging and landscaping. It is projected to decline or completely disappear from the Lake Superior region.
Birch bark bowl.
Making a traditional Ojibwe birch bark container reinforces understanding about the impact of climate change on culture.
Hand sewing paper
The
bowl.
big so what of a GWOW Institute is applying these learning experiences and taking action on climate change. An institute's final day is devoted to sharing a variety of climate education and service learning tools that integrate culture and science.
Hiking on trail.
These include activities demonstrated during the Institute and service learning ideas brainstormed during small group breakout sessions.
People sitting at table outdoors.
As a Train the Trainer program, it's important that participants know how they'll be supported after they return home. This will depend on the capacity of Institute partners.
Website screenshot.
One ready-made option is to use the GWOW website, which offers service learning curriculum, climate change research, outreach tools, and opportunities to share projects through its Talking Circle feature. Another option is to engage the Institute alumni. Ask them to bring students or community members for a customized climate change program at your location. In this way, you can support their outreach and introduce new visitors to your site.
Class of children.
Our institute has come full circle following the GWOW model. The final Talking Circle activity is a time for reflection as each participant shares what they've learned and how they'll apply it. Each participant receives a certificate of completion signed by the Institute partners. It's an inexpensive but tangible reminder of their experience.
On boat.
The Institute ends as it began, honoring the importance of culture by closing with an Ojibwe traveling song.
People standing in a circle outside building.
After an institute ends, supporting the network of institute alumni begins.
Holding map.
These relationships must be nurtured through regular follow-up to support their outreach. Continue the chain of email correspondence. Drop an email note to each institute alum, thanking them for participating. Reinforce how they'll be supported in developing climate change outreach.
Miigwech, thank
Remember
you.
to write a formal thank you to each project partner and institute contributor.
Ledger.
Close out any financial or reporting obligations, expenses, or financial reimbursement due to participants.
Social media logos.
Showcase your institute through social media posts, press releases, and on your website. Use personal stories and those photos and pithy quotes you captured as part of your marketing strategy. Provide a press release to Institute alumni that they can customize for their local media.
Web pages.
Posting all Institute presentations and resources on the website will build an online archive available for alumni and others to use.
Forms.
Evaluation is important. Were the outcomes accomplished? How can you improve it? An electronic mail survey tool can help answer those questions, distributed after the Institute, to allow time for participants to reflect on their training and how they'll apply it.
The GWOW website features tips and tools for creating a climate change institute. www.g-wow.org.
Your scorecard for creating an effective climate institute will be if the training relates to those receiving it, reveals ideas and new perspectives, not a tech transfer of facts, provokes action in response to what was learned, and tells the whole story by exploring deeper connections of how climate affects the environment, cultures, and economies no matter where we live. Putting these elements together is an art that will make your institute unique. On the first morning of your institute, provide a welcoming environment. Greet participants as new team members in the climate change outreach network you're creating. Trust in the partnerships and program you've created. Enjoy the synergy among people you've brought together to share in responding to the challenge of climate change.
A group of people standing in a line on a beach.
The Lake Superior Ojibwe believe that we must think 7 generations ahead when making decisions today. All cultures share responsibility for protecting their home, the Earth. We cannot eliminate all the risks climate change presents, but we can make a difference in slowing its impacts. The culture and lifeways of future generations will be affected by the choices we make.
A person standing on a pier, waving to the camera. Text. The GWOW curriculum, tools, and resources featured in this video are on the GWOW website, www.g-wow.org. Credits. Much. Many thanks to everyone who made this institute and video possible. GWOW project partners: National Park Service, Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, U.S. Forest Service, Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest, Northern Great Lakes Visitor Center, University of Wisconsin Extension. Special thanks to the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative for their support. Narration: Patty Lowe, Wisconsin Initiative on Climate Change Impact, University of the Wisconsin-Nielsen Institute, Northern Institute of Applied Climate Science, Bad River Tribal Natural Resource Department. Special appearances: 2016 GWOW Hear the Water Speak Institute participants: Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, Bob Crewman Occur, Myra Foster, Neil Hoke, Damon Panek, Haley Barr, Patty Carpenter, Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, Dylan Jeans, Paula Madday, Sue Lemieux, Peter David, Bill Metz, Jim St. Arnold, UW Extension, Kathy Techtman. And the water that speaks to us. G-wow.org Instructional Communication Systems.